और मैं आज G20 समुदाय को बाली डिक्लेरेशन के अनुमोदन के लिए भी बधाई देता हूं। भारत अपनी G20 अध्यक्षता के दौरान इंडोनेशिया के सराहनीय इनिशिएटिव को आगे बढ़ाने का भरसक प्रयत्न करेगा।
Hello everyone, welcome to Topic of the Day. In today's video, we shall be discussing about the G20 Bali Summit. Now, the G20 Summit was recently concluded in Bali, Indonesia, with the member states finalizing the joint Bali Declaration. Indonesia also handed over the G20 presidency to India for the coming year. So, let us discuss some of the key highlights of the Bali Declaration. The war in Ukraine is causing immense human suffering and exacerbating existing fragilities in the global economy, constraining growth, increasing inflation, disrupting supply chains, heightening energy and food security, and elevating financial stability risks. Now, the threat of using nuclear weapons in the war was given as inadmissible. The joint statement included the phrase as today's era must not be of war. Also, the challenges to global food security have been intensified by the ongoing conflicts and tensions. The FATF, that is the Financial Action Task Force, and the FATF-style regional bodies should lead global action to respond to the threats of money laundering and terrorism financing. The rule-based, non-discriminatory, free, fair, open, inclusive, equitable, sustainable and transparent multilateral trading system with the WTO, that is the World Trade Organization, at its core is indispensable to advancing inclusive growth among the member states. Now, at the summit, the G7 countries, the European Union, Denmark and Norway announced the Indonesia Just Energy Transition Partnership, a $20 billion deal to decarbonize Indonesia's coal-powered economy. Now, let us take an overview of the G20. First of all, let us talk about the origin. The G20 was formed in the year 1999 in the backdrop of financial crisis of the late 1990s. The first G20 summit took place in 2008 in Washington, D.C., United States. Now, talking about the objectives, the first one is policy coordination between its members in order to achieve global economic stability, sustainable growth, and also to promote financial regulations that reduce risks and prevent future financial crises. Now, talking about the membership, its permanent membership comprises 19 countries and the European Union. The 19 member countries include Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, Japan, India, Indonesia, Italy, Mexico, Russia, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, Turkey, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Spain is also invited as a permanent guest. Talking about the presidency of the G20 rotates every year among the member countries. The country holding the presidency, together with the previous and next presidency holder, forms the Troika to ensure continuity of the G20 agenda. Now, during India's presidency, India, Indonesia, and Brazil will form the Troika. And this would be the first time when the Troika would consist of 3 developing countries and emerging economies. Further on, G20 has no permanent secretariat. Now, let us talk about the representatives of the G20 countries, that are Sherpas. Now, the agenda and work are coordinated by the representatives of the G20 countries, known as Sherpas, who work together with the finance ministers and governors of the central banks. India recently said ex-NITI Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant would be the G20 Sherpa after Piyush Goyal. Moreover, within the G20 process, the finance track includes the meetings held among the finance and economy ministers, central bank governors, vice ministers, and Sherpas, who are the negotiators designated by the respective economic ministers. Now, let us discuss about the significance of G20. Together, the G20 countries include 60% of the world's population, 80% of global GDP, and 75% of the global trade. Now, lastly, the G20 has been criticized for various reasons like the lack of transparency, encouraging trade agreements that strengthen large corporations, being slow to combat climate change, and also failing to address social inequality and global threats to democracy. So this was a little bit about the G20. Now let us take up one practice question on the same. Consider the following statements relating to the Intergovernmental Forum G20 or Group of 20. First, the country holding the presidency together with the previous and the next presidency holder forms the G20 Troika. Second, The G20 Secretariat is administered by OECD and is located at Geneva, Switzerland. Now, which of the statements given above are correct? You can take a moment and write your answers in the comment section below. Now, here only the first statement is correct, that is, the country holding the presidency together with the previous and next presidency holder forms the G20 Troika. The second statement is wrong, as we have already discussed. The G20 has no permanent secretariat. Therefore, the correct answer is option A, that is 1 only. And with this, we call it a wrap of today's edition of Topic of the Day. I hope you liked the video. You can also check out the daily current affairs section on our website for further details. And for more such videos, do stay tuned to the Next IAS YouTube channel.